Candy, love and life coaching delivered straight up like your best friend would if she were a licensed and certified mental wellness professional. If you don't know me yet, I'm Candace Harper, relationship coach and hypnotherapist, and I'm here to support you with feeling epic, enough, peaceful, illuminated, and courageous in every area of your life, but particularly your love life, whether you're single or not. I'm also here to teach all of us how to vibe high and manifest the sweetest possible love in this lifetime. I'm here to teach you how to ask for candy and to get it. If you've got something to say about what you hear, email me your comments and questions, askforcandypodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok @CandyLoveCoach. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. Leave a review so I can shout you out. And share with the friends and family that you know will benefit from this spoonful of sugar. Now let's get started. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask for Candy, where we talk about healing, self-care, love, sex, relationships, and what it takes to be amazing on the daily. Who I am is CandaceHarperLoveCoach.com. And the purpose with this podcast is to create healthy romantic relationships all around the world through self-love, soul connections, and sweetness. Now, before we get to that, I want to ask you guys, those of you who are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen, if it's possible for you to write a review about the show, if you are enjoying this show, if it is causing transformation in your life, or if you just like the sound of my voice, I'm inviting you to write a review. I will shout you out on the show. I actually have a couple reviews that have been written, and I forgot to get the names of the people, but I'm going to shout them out next podcast. And I promise that if you write a review, you'll get shouted out as well. So don't forget to subscribe to our audio broadcast, Ask for Candy, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you normally download. And you can also email me at askforcandypodcast@gmail.com. Any questions that you have, any comments you want to make, that's the way to connect with me, askforcandypodcast@gmail.com. And all of this is how I live into my purpose, the purpose of healing the past, loving myself unconditionally, and inspiring others to do the same, using our romantic lives as a field of creativity and inspiration, a catalyst to our highest possible selves, honey. That's what it's all about. So relationship work is my zone of genius, and the best part about it is that week to week, I get to grow and learn as I interact with hundreds of people all around the world, all around the most intimate parts of their lives. I get to take people on their journey from caterpillar to butterfly, from unhappy with their love lives or their partners to ecstatic. I get to teach people how to get out of their own way and tap into love as a limitless resource. I get to help people heal the symptoms of not enoughness, which I will talk about that more later in the show. But most importantly, of all I get to do is I get to be part of what supports healthy beginnings, sustainably healthy relationships. Specifically, I teach perfectionistic people how to heal the past, love themselves unconditionally, and start their love lives over from a clean slate every damn day, because that is really what it takes. You just got to be willing to start over again and again and again. So tonight's topic, whenever you are listening to this show, it is 9 steps from anger to opportunity, because your anger is an opportunity should you choose to perceive it as so. So today I'm going to give you 9 steps in order to do that. And here's the thing about that. So we often think that our feelings of anger, that they justify other behaviors, that we have a right to our feelings of anger, that they are in some way going to help us to blow off steam or help us resolve whatever is within us, whatever traumas, whatever ways that other people hurt us. We think that the feelings of anger, the expression of anger, it gives us that quick hit of, oh, I feel better because I just, smashed that glass or punched that person in the face or whatever it might be. But ultimately, this is how people develop anger issues, is not knowing how to really use anger, because anger is valid and it also has a very valuable usage, right? It's not just about expressing it, because you can go around expressing your anger all over the place. And then what does your life look like if you're someone who's constantly expressing your anger? If you're someone who's constantly holding your anger down or stuffing it down, what does your life look like? If you're somebody who always just kind of sucks it up, a lot of us were raised to not express our anger, to not have emotions and feelings about things, particularly anger. So if you were taught to do that and you're very good at muffling or stuffing it down to a dark place inside you, what does your life look like? Being someone who stuffs down their anger. Take a moment to just think about that for a second. If you're someone who is always expressing your anger, yelling at people, hauling off, if you're someone who's physical, if you hit people, I've been that person when I was much younger. I would be very quick to hit somebody, very quick to raise my voice and yell at people, very quick to mix it up and get into a conflict, a high level conflict with somebody. And if you're that person and that's how you're expressing your anger, what does your life look like? Because when I was in that place of being very quick to express my anger and living in that place of anger, I was in a bad relationship, or I was sabotaging a relationship. I was anxious, depressed, unhappy, with no language to identify it because I didn't even know that's what it was. I was losing out in places where I should have been winning in my career, and just having a lot of difficulties with people when that is what I was doing with my anger. So this whole show today is about the value of anger and how it's not something that we ever have to make wrong. There's nothing wrong with you for ever getting angry. And for those of us who want to be in healthy, sustainable relationships, or who are already in relationships and you want to make it healthy and sustainable, the first thing that you want to do is just know that your emotions are valuable. They're valid. And it's not the having of emotions that's the problem. It's what we choose to do with them that can become a problem. So if we're expressing our anger in negative ways that are hurtful to other people, we're just not going to get anywhere with it. And, we can talk about other emotions as well. But today is all about anger and turning anger into opportunity. So how do we do it? How do we take that anger, especially when we're at the height of it, when that animal brain kicks in and our fear responses are going and the body's feeling all kinds of symptoms of, anxiety, the heart is racing and the hands are shaking, and, you're at the height of that feeling of, I am so mad, like you could kick somebody, teeth clenched, all the stuff that happens in the body when we're in a moment of a heightened anger. How do we get ourselves to a place where we can actually turn that into opportunity? Because obviously the chemicals are racing around in our brain. We are not at a rational point in that moment. So the idea here with these 9 steps is not to try to force yourself to follow them to the letter. It's about exploration, practice, using a journal, really allowing yourself a lot of grace around it. I always say that with transformation stuff, it's a lot like a yoga practice, right? When you first try, it can be very challenging. It can be very difficult. But the more you do it, the more you practice, the easier and easier it gets, the more adept that we get at it when we're willing to practice. And it's the same way with our transformation. You're stretching your brain, you're stretching your heart, you're stretching new ways of handling your emotions that maybe you're not used to. Maybe you weren't conditioned to do so. And so if you're willing to practice, it's like an amount of time goes by of being regularly in practice of using my anger as opportunity. And one day I wake up and I realize that I now know how to, what they call, manage my anger. I don't know if I love the word manage because it sounds like a lot of manipulation, but I now know how to do transformation with my anger. I know how to make my anger into a positive, because there's a positive in everything. Everything can be made into a positive, particularly our anger. All right, so let's talk about these 9 steps. The very, very first step is acknowledge that I am triggered, the fuck out. Just be willing to say it. Just be willing to notice that that's what's happening. And the reason I say that is because, there are some people who can say, I'm mad, I'm angry. But a lot of times, especially if we're with a partner in a relationship, a family member, even a friend, we'll get into something and feel a certain way about it, or they'll say something conflicting will happen, and we'll have an emotion, we'll have a reaction and feel it. And someone says, what's wrong? Like, what's the problem? Nothing. There is no problem, whatever. And so, some of us will just shrink off and need to go off into our own space. Some of us then continue with expressing the anger in total denial, denying to the other person that it's even happening. And that denial to the other person is also a denial to the self. Some of us will go ahead and squash it and pretend like it really isn't happening and keep moving forward, and then stew about it, boil about it, and then have other passive aggressive behaviors that come up later that are just as detrimental to the relationship as if we were yelling at the person all the time. So that's the very first step, is to be able to own and acknowledge that I am angry. I'm having a feeling right now, and it's not a good feeling. Like whatever you just said, or whatever you just did, or whatever just happened that I didn't expect, it has me turned upside down. Right? I am feeling all kinds of feelings. My palms are sweaty. My heart is racing. I am pissed the fuck off. Like, I just feel pissed. Now, not every relationship that you're in, if you tell someone something like that, can they be with it? Because if you're with another person who has anger issues, that might start a whole fight. But what's most important about that, before you say it to anybody else, is to be able to acknowledge within yourself that you feel angry. Because the moment you acknowledge it, the moment you can admit it, the moment that you identify that that's what it is, then your healing can begin. It's just like, with the 12-step program with alcohol. The moment you admit that you have a problem with alcohol, that you're out of control with alcohol, your healing can begin. It's just an admission. It's an admission that I am feeling angry. I'm a human being having a moment of anger, because that's what happens to us humans. We get angry about things, right? So admit it, notice it, acknowledge it within yourself. I am pissed off. I'm pissed off as hell. And then what do you do after that, right? So now I'm all pissed off. And so I have a lot of choices I can make from pissed off. I can fight with this person. I can retaliate right away. I can do something, I could break something. I could take it out on somebody else. There's just a lot of things that I could possibly do. And in that moment, I might not necessarily be thinking about what is going to be the best possible choice for me. But if I just allow myself to practice staying with it on the inside first, dealing with it with myself first, that's the key, right? I can go on to number 2, because now that I've acknowledged that I feel this anger, now I got to really focus on what am I even angry about? What am I pissed off about? Right? So I had a client not too long ago who was saying that she got really mad because a guy that she was dating, she was telling him about how her grandparents have a really great relationship. And he made some sort of flip comment about, the years that her grandfather must have cheated or something in order for the relationship to be long. Well, that just really sent her over the edge. And who knows what else the guy might have said or what was going on in their relationship at the time. But it sent her over the edge. She was pissed off. She was angry. She was like ready to fight about it. So we were talking about it. And so that's a perfect opportunity when someone says something, even if it's about you or about someone you care about or, whatever, but from a place of not knowing that it's true, not having any evidence, just saying it because that's how they see the world. That's how they view the world. When we go into that triggering, that like, I'm pissed off, like that instant anger about it, we get to ask ourselves, like, so was it that they said that? Or is it because of whatever I believe about them saying that? So in talking to her, what we came to was that she just had this strong belief that you just never let anybody say anything bad about your family. Now, I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not saying that, you're going around inviting negative conversations about your family members. However, you want to just be real present to like, is it worth it for me to be in a stress in my, the German Shepherd he's giving me an amen. Is it worth it for me to be putting stress in my body, causing more conflict with this person, raising the stakes of this communication or lack of communication based on something they said that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that is true, provable, that they have evidence of, that they even know of, that has everything to do with their view of the world? Right? So if I look at my beliefs, I'm saying that my beliefs are you never let anybody say anything bad about your family. So with that belief, I'm going to behave a certain way. That means I got to fight you if you make your mama joke. And I know a lot of people are willing to do that. Don't get me wrong. I know that that's common. But is it worth it? The things that we get into based on people saying things that have absolutely nothing to do with what they're actually talking about, is it worth it? So you want to just be able to ask yourself that question. It's not about wrong making. You feel how you feel, but are my beliefs what fuel my anger? Are my beliefs what fuel this triggering that I'm having? If something's not even true, it has no effect and no bearing on people that I care about. It's just something that was said in conversation based on their guesstimate, their perception. Is it worth it? And is that what's causing my anger? That I'm holding on to this belief that I got to fight for things that don't mean anything. Right? How often are we out there fighting for things that really don't mean anything? How often are we out there getting offended because someone else feels a way about something that means absolutely nothing in the long run? Right? So then the third is what they said true, or do I agree with it? I got to be willing to ask myself, if someone says something or does something that really, really pisses me off, and I'm applying my beliefs to it, I got to be willing to ask myself, but is it actually true? Because if I think it's true somewhere, then they're hitting a nerve, right? That's part of my anger. Is the nerve is being agitated, right? If I agree with it, especially if they say something that makes me feel like I'm less than, or I'm not competent, or makes me feel insecure, or points to my insecurities. They say something about the way that I look, or the way that I do something, the way my work performance is, the way my performance is in bed or within our relationship. How much of what they're saying do I believe is true? I had a matchmaking client who was very upset that a match rejected her because he thought that she was too focused on her career for where he is in life. His opinion, his perception. And so our whole discussion was about, it's not about being upset that he feels that way. It's how much do you agree with that? If you don't think it's true, then it's not worth it to bend yourself over backwards and just realize that this rejection is a favor. But if there's a part of you that's like, yeah, you know what? I did present myself as being someone who only focuses on their career. And guess what? If I am someone who only focuses on their career and he doesn't want that, then he's not right for me. So it's a good thing that he's rejected. It's a good thing to find that out, that we're not compatible. If I don't want to be someone who always focuses on my career, then I just got some great feedback. If I want to be someone who wants to be able to balance relationship and career, I just got some great feedback, right? But it only has to bother me, make me angry, if I agree with the thought that it somehow makes me less than, or that it somehow diminishes me in some way. I have to agree with that. I have to take his rejection that I'm too career focused as a personal insult, which means I have to already be making it wrong within myself. I have to feel some shame about it. I have to make it shameful in order for me to feel like that's a personal insult. If someone came up to me and said, Candace, you talk too damn much, I'd be like, hell yeah, I do. And I could talk some more too if you would like, because that's what I do. And for anybody who doesn't want to be around that, or for anybody that doesn't work for, they are perfectly within their right, their prerogative to keep it moving and to not have to deal with me talking too much. But it is not in my best interest to want to start throwing, and trust me, there was a time in my life when I would have, to want to start throwing hands and fighting somebody. I do a lot of talking. And some people can be with that and some people cannot. And anybody who really gets to know me knows that, I have my moments where I do a lot of talking and I have moments when I'm silent. We all have facets to our personality, but anybody who's going to develop a perspective on you and label you with that perspective and want to walk away based on that perspective, they're doing you a favor. You got to let them go. If you agree with it and you want to fight it, then you got to think about, why? Why do I want to fight it? What am I making wrong about it? What am I shaming about it? Right? I had an ex-boyfriend I always talk about. It was the most abusive relationship, who used to always accuse me of looking at other people, checking out other people, flirting with other people, which I rarely ever did. But yeah, there was a couple times where I did see someone else who I thought was attractive. But I was, as respectful as I could possibly be. I'm not going to say I'm an innocent. I'm not going to say I never looked at anybody else. But that was one of his favorite things to do, was to be accusing. Oh, you're looking at other guys, you're flirting with other guys, you're talking to other guys. And it was that little part of me that was like, well, I did look at that one guy and feeling shame about it, as if I did something wrong. I mean, I'm a human. We're all human. I wouldn't expect him to never be attracted to anybody else or to never think that anyone else was physically attractive. But there was that little part of me that I was also shaming it. So when he would say things like that, it really had me in a shame spiral. I really felt insulted because what he was doing was hitting that nerve of truth. That part of me that agreed with it felt a little guilty about it, felt a little bad about it. And instead of owning that, ready to fight. So let's get in a fight about it. Right? Because here you are accusing me and triggering my shame. All right, then number 4. If it is true, and I do agree with it, what am I most afraid of? If what you're saying about me is true, and so, back to my client who's like, if you're saying I'm career focused and that is the truth about me, I got some shame about it. That's why I'm triggered. But what am I afraid of? Why am I shaming it? Am I afraid that I'm going to be exposed, ridiculed, abandoned, embarrassed? I think for her, it was that fear of if that's true about me and it's wrong and you think it's wrong, I'm never going to find my soulmate. I'm never going to find love. I'm never going to have this relationship that I want, that I've now invested all of this time and money into having because one person thinks that I'm too career focused. And so we're humans. So that's how we irrationally put things together, right? So if I'm willing to ask myself, okay, if I feel like there's a grain of truth to what you're saying, what am I most afraid of about it, if it is true? So in my abusive relationship, if I feel like it's a grain of truth, yes, I was checking out somebody else. What am I most afraid of? Well, I'm most afraid that the veneer is going to slip and you're going to realize that maybe I don't love you as much as I claimed. This is all hindsight talking, of course, but that's what I would be afraid of. That's what I was ashamed of, because I was loving this person less and less. And every time they would call me out on things that showed it, that proved it, I would feel guilt and shame about it. So I would fight. I was afraid that the truth was coming out, that he was starting to realize that my feelings weren't the same, that I just didn't feel what I felt. And the more that he shamed me, the less my feelings were, the less I felt like I could love him. It's like a vicious cycle between the two of us. And we find ourselves in these cycles with people. Because when people trigger us, and there's a part of us that believes it's true, and then there's a part of us that's shaming whatever it is they're shaming, our fear kicks in, that animal brain kicks in, and it's fight or flight. And what kind of relationship are we creating around that? Right? So that's number 4, honey. We're only on number 4. We are just deep diving. Take a deep breath if any of this is hitting on you, because it's hitting on me. I wrote it. And every time I read it, it's hitting on me. I'm like, hits different every time, but always slaps hard. Always slaps hard. I'm always feeling it because I can always look for those different ways where I am showing up in my anger and not using it as an opportunity, using it as an excuse to behave badly or to blow people off or to talk slick to people. Using it as an excuse to blow things off that I said that I was going to do, not be in my word, right? rather than do that, let's use it as an opportunity. How can our anger grow us? We are growing ourselves with our anger. Yes, honey. All right, so number 5. What if I'm angry and I don't think any of it's true? I don't think whatever that person is accusing me of or saying about me is at all true. Somebody comes out of their face, they call me a bitch. Well, I don't literally think that I know I can be bitchy, but I don't think I'm a bitch. But I could choose to take that calling of me a bitch as like, a reason to really go to blows. I can start throwing bows. We can get into it because you're calling me a bitch. But if I don't believe it's true, I have to make your actions, what you're saying, mean something. So if I don't believe that I'm truly a bitch, I have to make it mean that what you're saying has weight, that you are going to destroy my reputation, or that you are labeling me in a way that I won't be able to get rid of, or that you are just a nasty vitriolic person who's coming for me. Like, I have to make it mean those negative things in order for me to retaliate with my anger and go into disempowerment around my anger. I have to make it mean a lot of things in order to have it be a negative experience for me. And I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, Candace, who isn't it negative for if somebody's calling you a bitch? Right? That's just a negative feeling all the way around. Well, because we have the definition of a bitch and the connotation around the word and what we make it mean. That's all a set of beliefs and a paradigm. Someone calling me a bitch says way more about that person than it does about me. If think about any of those like viral fight videos you've ever seen. Think about any time you've ever seen, videos with Karens and the person who's calling the names and the person who's yelling and screaming and, saying all kinds of just off-color nasty things. When you watch it from the outside, who are they really talking about? Who are they really representing? When you watch someone calling somebody names, screaming and yelling at them, throwing things at them, you see these videos all the time. Who are you looking at as being who they say? It's the person saying it. They're coming from their perspective, from their movie. Right? So if they're saying something to me that I know is not true, I just got to be willing to be aware of that it's not worth my energy, my fight, my hurt, my pain, because that's their energy, their hurt, their fight, their pain. And that's what they're in. When someone's coming for you, saying things to you, you're in a fight with someone, let's say, that you're in a relationship with, all those nasty things that they project onto you. I mean, I can think of, over the years, fights that I've had with my siblings, fights that I've had with friends. Anything that we say to each other, we're projecting. I have a mentor, she says, when you spot it, you got it. All those accusatory things that we say to another person, that's a projection of how we feel and how we see ourselves, whether we want to believe it or not. And I know I got a lot of neck snapping chicks out there who'll be like, nah, if I'm calling her a bitch, she's a bitch. If you can call somebody a bitch, then you think you're a bitch. If you can look at somebody and you can cast aspersions on who they are, how they think, where they're coming from, the only frame of reference that you have is who you are. Because we can look at another person and we can make some sort of guess about, what their intentions are or why they do what they do. But there's absolutely 100% no way to know. There's no way to know what a person's intentions are, their truest intentions are, what a person really means, what a person's really thinking, what they've been through, what has brought them to where they are. The only thing that we can do is guess based on our own perceptions, based on our own interpretations, based on how we think. So that's why I always say, beware of people who accuse people of being evil or untrustworthy. People who are very paranoid about other people. You want to be cognizant when someone is like that, because we're just projecting who we are onto everybody else. That's why a lot of times naive people can get taken, because they assume that everyone is for good. Everyone has that same naivete. We can't help it. We're human. Right? And that's not to say go around in the world looking for where you can get hurt, because when you do that, you do become what it is that you perceive in others. It's such a crazy catch-22. It's a paradigm wrapped in an enigma. It's a paradox. So when someone's, it's that old cliche, if someone's pointing a finger at you, there's 3 fingers pointing back at them. I mean, that's some real shit. I know it's cliche, but that's the real stuff. And I keep going back to, when you watch a viral video when someone's calling names, and who looks like the names? Someone's, all kinds of profanities, yelling, fighting someone, beating on someone. Who ends up looking like the villain? Right? So you want to think about it. Like if I'm making that other person's actions mean something about me, I'm the one who's validating them. You call me a bitch, and then in my subconscious, I'm thinking that means something, that you're making me look bad, that you're ruining my reputation, that you're calling me out my name and disrespecting me. And so when I make it mean that, then I got to retaliate in some way. I'm basically not only living into your prophecy, living into your word, but I am sacrificing my well-being on behalf of your perception and your projection. And who wants to do that? I, for one, at this day and age in my life, no longer am willing to sacrifice my well-being. You can try to come for me all you want. You can try to come for me. But I am no longer willing to sacrifice my well-being. And that's not to say that I live perfectly and I never get mad, or that I never have a reaction. Of course I react to things. I'm a human being, right? But it's just the ability to practice turning my anger into opportunity. What can I do with it? Even if I have to have a moment of blow up, a moment of, F you right back, I got to look at, okay, so now what can I do with this? What can I do with this conflict that I just been through? And I got to be willing to ask myself all of these questions. By the way, everybody, these questions that I'm asking they're journal prompts. And so I'm going to be putting together a little PDF that breaks down these 9 steps from anger to opportunity. And I'm going to put it together as a workbook. And you'll be able to get it for free on my website very soon. I'm working on that. All right, number 6. So, after I figure out what I'm making the other person's actions mean about me, what beliefs I'm putting on it, I got to be really like, why am I taking it personally? Why am I taking it so personally? Now, you might be out there saying, well, I'm taking it personally because I'm in this romantic thing with this person and I love them and I thought they loved me and this means they don't love me. And, now I have to fight. This means they don't care about me. And it reminds me of, when I was young and my father didn't care about me, or, it takes me back to some trauma that I suffered. So yeah, I take it very personally. I take it very personally if someone says something bad about someone in my family or somebody I care about. If somebody says something about my kid, I take it very personally. So that goes back to what I was saying before, when we take it personally. So you say something to me that is from your perspective, your projection, what you think, how you view the world and who you are, what your character is. You are talking to me from your character and how you see things, how you perceive things. And so if I take it personally and I respond from a place of taking it personally because, what I'm saying is that your belief is valid and truthful. So if your belief is valid and truthful and I take it on, that you're saying these things about me, that you think these things about me, that you've put it out there, you're putting these words of negativity on me, then who do I have to be within that? Who do I have to be while I believe that your word about me is valid And I don't care how much anybody has ever said that they love you. Their word about you is only valid if you say so. So whether it's a positive or a negative, it's just like if you're in a romance with someone and they compliment you and they tell you how beautiful you are. Well, if you're someone who's very insecure and you can't take compliments and you don't take it on, it doesn't matter how many times they say that you're beautiful. You're going to always feel ugly. But if you choose, I'm going to validate this. They say you're beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging my beauty. That's in alignment with me. That agrees with what I think about myself as well. Thank you. And so who do I get to be? I get to be beautiful. I get to know I'm beautiful, supported about being beautiful, walking around beautiful, and it works the same way in the opposite. If someone is very insulting, says something to me that's insulting, does something that I take as an insult, and I validate it, and I respond with it, I align with it as if it's true, as if it's Bible, as if it's word, I'm going to have a certain behavior that aligns with that. And so I'm probably going to act pretty ugly if you say nasty things to me. I'm going to prove that you're right. I'm going to validate it all because I'm going to take it personally, make it all about me, when really it is all about you. Anytime that we're saying anything to anybody, if I'm giving compliments, if I'm giving insults, you better bet they are 100% about who I am and what my character is as a person. Right? And however that person chooses to digest it, take it in, leave it, whatever they choose to do with it has everything to do with who they are as a person. It's crazy times. It's crazy times how this stuff works. So then we're getting really deep because we're getting into the last 3 steps of the 9 steps of turning anger to opportunity. Now, I want to say those first 6 steps were really about exploration, really about finding some answers. Because once I start finding answers, I can look to see where healing needs to happen. Right? I get to it's hard to explain unless you actually do the exercises, do the journaling, do the work. Because when you do the work, you start to see, you allow yourself to express what the deep hurt is. You know how they say that when it's hysterical, it's historical. So those things that really upset us, really piss us off, it's not whatever's happening just in that moment. It's because it has something to do with way, way, way back in history. All the stuff I talked about, the agreeing with it, the not agreeing with it, but making it mean something, the fear. All of that is attached to something I endured long, long, long ago that now needs to be healed. And so my anger, my reactions to things, they are pointing at exactly what needs to be healed. So as you're journaling and doing this work, that stuff's going to come up. You're going to gain a lot of clarity around what is truly going on underneath all of it. Right? So that's been the first 6. The first 6 are really about exploration. And with the last 3, it's exploration and solution. And just being able to excavate for your own transformation, for your own good, for your own highest good. So that brings us to number 7. Is my belief about whatever a person said or did, about whatever I'm angry about, whatever's going on, are my beliefs, my thoughts about it, are they actually serving my highest good? So when I'm willing to ask myself that question and journal about it, reflect about it, not just in your head, because a lot of times we want to just ruminate about things in our head, and that's just a cycle of thought that we just keep reinforcing our belief, like, yeah, it's true, what I think is true, yeah, the way I see it is true, yeah, absolutely, yeah, that's the way it is. That's what we do if we leave it in our head. But when you're willing to do this exploration in your journal, is my belief or my understanding of the situation serving my highest good? Right? So if I'm believing that what you're saying is true about me, or if I am subconsciously making it mean something based on something I believe, like my client with you said something about my grandparents, and I just believe that that's the ultimate disrespect. Whatever it is, I gotta reflect on, is this belief, this validation of it all really serving my highest good? Is this helping me to be a well person? Is it helping me to feel healthy? Is it helping me to function properly in this relationship? Is it helping me to make choices that actually propel me forward as opposed to backwards? Is it helping me to sleep at night? Do I feel good about these? Or are they just thoughts, negative thoughts that just keep going and going in my head because of what I believe? And, are having me have anxiety, making me want to retaliate, making me want to be vengeful, forget about what I should be concentrating on, making them more important than other things, like enjoying love and joy and freedom with other people, because I'm so busy stewing in my vengeance. Like, I got to be willing to ask myself, is my understanding of whatever I'm pissed off about, is it serving my highest good? Is it having me live my best life? Is it supporting me in my peace and my wellness? Is it supporting me in whatever I'm up to in the world, who I want to be in the world? Right? When I believe that someone else is out to anger me, who do I have to be? Is that my highest good? I can tell you it's not. But go on the exploration. Write it down. Write it in your journal. Answer that question. And here's the thing with the journaling and how to use these questions as journal prompts is you set a timer, 20 minutes on the timer, and you just write. You free write whatever comes to mind. You don't filter, you don't edit, and you write for that entire 20 minutes. You don't like, oh, I'm done now, even though it's only 10 minutes. I'm just going to write and write and write, and your brain will cooperate. If you don't filter it, if you don't try to make it perfect, just write down exactly what thoughts come to your mind, and you'll be amazed at the answers you will get. You will start generating all your own solutions. What would be for my highest good? If the beliefs I'm having now aren't for my highest good, what beliefs would have me, living my best life? What beliefs would be best for me right now? Because here's the magic of it, my sweetheart. You can change your beliefs and have a completely different experience of the exact same thing. I'll say that again. You can change your beliefs and have a completely different experience of the exact same thing. I'll let you ponder on that one while we talk about number 8. Number 8 is the biggie. This is the big crux of transformation. It's not the end goal, because a lot of people get to this point and they stop. But it's a real important part of it. I got to ask myself, who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to forgive? Now, I know some of you are going straight to, I am not ready to forgive that person who said or did whatever they said or did. And I don't feel like I should have to. Forgiveness is my option. I don't want to forgive them. I'm not ready. I'm not going there. And you don't know how horrible it was what they did. Right? Or some of you are going to, I've already forgiven. I just can't be with that person. I just can't deal with that person. I've forgiven them. I really have. And what that really means is that, yeah, I might not be stewing about what they did, but if I've decided that there's someone that I can't have any sort of contact or relationship with based on what they did, or I've decided that I'm going to put them in a box and define them in a certain way, I can guarantee you your forgiveness process is not complete. And that doesn't mean that everything has to be hearts and flowers between you and that person. But if you cannot send full 100% unadulterated pure love to that person without needing to have some sort of one-upmanship, some sort of letting them know how wrong they were, some sort of setting of parameters that lets them know how wrong they are, then your work is not done. And it's not for them, it's for you, my sweet love. The work is not done. So you want to just go on that exploration, because sometimes who I need to forgive is myself. Whatever I'm believing, I have to forgive myself for those beliefs that have held me back. I got to forgive myself for how I believed out of those beliefs that held me back, the actions that I took. Because when we believe crazy shit, we do crazy shit. When we believe negativity, we do negativity. Right? When we believe it's important to be able to tell people off and retaliate and talk people down and clap back and all of that stuff in a way that's negative, that's what we do. And we get whatever we experience based on all of that. So who do I need to forgive? Is it myself? Is it the other person? Is it somebody way from the past that this other person is just reminding me of? They're triggering some historical hurt, some historical pain. And then number 9, what will be my most peaceful course of action for me to regain peace, calm, and joy? Right? I get to explore that with this particular situation. So there's a ton of things that I can do. I can ask the other person, depending on the relationship, I can ask the other person what their intention was. If they intended to hurt me, if they were trying to say something messed up. And sometimes it's obvious that they are, but sometimes just asking them if that's what they intended has them look at it. And sometimes retract it, apologize for it, talk about it in a different way, approach it in a different way, leave room for conversation about it, maybe let go of their belief, their perception a little bit. But if I'm willing to ask, is that what you intended to say? Is that what you meant to do? Are you wanting me to feel bad? Is that why you're saying what you're saying? Are you trying to hurt my feelings? Do you want me to be hurt by what you're saying? Honest questions, not assumptions, right? Just honest questions about it. And I don't know if those of you who are in the growth conversation, you probably hear a lot of different distinctions from different things. There's a little bit of the 4 agreements in here. There's a little bit of the work, Byron Katie, I study all of this stuff, but it all applies. It all applies. And a lot of my anger has to do with making assumptions. So if I ask questions rather than make assumptions, I get to learn a little bit more. Sure, people don't always tell the truth when they answer questions, but it's not really about that. It's about coming from a place of trying to understand rather than already knowing, already assuming, and ready to fight. Right? Because that understanding will also give you insight into the value of the relationship, the quality of the relationship. If the relationship needs some love, nurturing, and work, or if the relationship needs to be released, because that's all okay too. We're also afraid to have the changes happen that need to happen in order to get healthy and sustainable with other people. But it's okay. It's okay if the relationship needs to be released. It's okay if the relationship needs some work. If some things need to be aired out and fanned out. Ask questions, right? Share what I'm feeling from ownership of my feelings. I'll say that one again. Share what I'm feeling from ownership of my feelings. So if somebody says something and I'm pissed off, does something and I'm ready to fight, I can own that because I've done the other steps. I've acknowledged it. I've asked myself some questions about it. Am I agreeing with it? Is it really true? What am I making it mean? I've given it that kind of love and nurturing. So now I can own it. You know what? I got really pissed off. And, I had this belief that, you're saying what you said was you trying to hurt me, or it was attached to something I feel really insecure about. And it really upset me. It really triggered something because it reminded me of an old story of something that happened between, me and a parent, or me and a sibling, or me and a caretaker. Like when I can come from that place of knowing that my shit is about my shit and own it, and I don't need to beat you up with my shit, I can tell you that is like mean person repellent. Because people who want to beat you up with their shit, but you're owning and empowered and powerful around your shit, they have no, there's no supply for them. There's nothing for them to feed off of. So they'll usually leave you alone. But people who are sustainable and healthy in your life, you come with ownership about your feelings, and they're going to want to immediately support you in being okay, however that needs to show up, whether it's that they need to apologize or they need to, explain what they really meant, or own what they did, own what they said and why they said it, where it was coming from, own their own perception, because that's all we can do is own our own perception. This expectation that somebody make our feelings better when we're not even willing to make our feelings better, that's where we get into trouble. Right? So, taking ownership over our feelings, hearing what the other person's thoughts, intentions, feelings are about it based on questions, working with someone who can support us. So whether that's a therapist, a coach, I'm a coach and a hypnotherapist, not just another family member or friend, because that can just end up being a gossip session, but somebody who actually doesn't have emotional skin in the game, but cares about helping you, supporting you. It's really good to have somebody who supports you through finding your most peaceful course of action, finding your joy, your calm, your freedom again. Everybody deserves to have someone in their life who knows how to do that for them. And whether it's someone that hopefully it's someone that you're paying to do it professionally. Or maybe you do have someone in your life that you're really close to, and they have built a history and a consistency of supporting you back to your peaceful course of action, to your highest good, to your most joyful self. If you have someone who's consistently doing that in your life, then that is a wonderful thing. Right? But sometimes it can be hard for someone who has emotional skin in the game, someone who's attached to you being a certain way, for them to be okay. So yeah, work with someone who can support you, question our thoughts, questioning our thoughts. Questioning your thoughts can be a very peaceful course of action, especially if you do it in a journal, do it on paper. Don't just try to do it in your head. Don't just ruminate, cycle. Like I said, the cycle of thought, cycle of thinking. And also start at step 1 with these 9 steps. You want a peaceful course of action, start at step 1. And like I said, I'm going to provide a workbook. All of those things can resume your peace. And yes, all that external stuff that we do, that self-care stuff, like, taking a hot bath and using oils and masks, that's beautiful too. That's a wonderful way to support yourself as you do these processes. That's the somatic external stuff that supports it, right? Putting some, if you like incense or scented candles, things like that. Some people have an altar, with stones and ancestors, if you like that sort of thing. If you have a yoga mat, whatever it is that you need externally to get you in a place where you can start reflecting, doing your work, taking care of yourself in a deep emotional, intellectual, and mental way. And being able to just question every belief. Because as Abraham Hicks says, a belief is just a thought you keep on thinking. It's not real. And if it's disempowering and it's hurting you, it's not worth it to keep it. If it's ruining your life, it's not worth it to keep it. I was talking to a friend the other day and she was saying, well, I just never go back, with relationships. Once it's over, it's over. I never go back. Because she's got somebody in her life who has, they say they've gone through their transformation and they want to try again, at least start out as a friendship and know each other again. And so far, everything they're showing seems to be positive. And my advice was to explore it a little. If it's feeling good and it's feeling positive and it's feeling in alignment with who you are now, give it an opportunity. Because the belief, I never go back, is just a thought she just keeps on thinking. She's just decided that you don't do that. And maybe something was modeled for her. Maybe she went back at some point and it didn't work out. But that's how we bring the past into the future, making a determination based on what was in the past. What was in the past doesn't exist anymore. Whatever we experienced in the past, it doesn't exist anymore. And that's not to say you don't learn from your lessons, but also when you assume that the future is going to be like the past, you bring the past into the future. And that's what you create, because you're ready for that kind of experience. It leaves no room for the unknown. So that's it, my people. That is it for the 9 steps of turning anger into opportunity. I'm going to be putting together the workbook. I definitely want you to be able to do the work around this. And I definitely want to hear, your thoughts about it. I definitely want to hear your experiences with it. It's coming very soon. I'm going to try to get it done this weekend. We'll see. Mama's got things to do. Anyway, also, just so you all know, I'm offering a coaching hypnotherapy package for anyone who is ready to make a serious commitment to their transformation. It's 63 days. If you are out there suffering from the symptoms of not feeling enough, and some of the bodily symptoms of not feeling enough are anger issues, depression and anxiety, struggles with your weight or your body image, sexual dysfunction, infertility, migraines, generalized unwellness in your body, backaches, joint problems, autoimmune disorders, all kinds of things. I'm not saying don't see your doctor. I still want you to see your doctor. But, what I'm doing in these 63 days is transforming the body's subconscious way of developing these things, based on our beliefs and our thoughts, our thoughts of not enoughness. So all of these dysfunctions and symptoms and diseases that our body invents, our body comes up with, our bodies create for us, it's because the body thinks it's helping us with something we believe, some sort of belief of not enoughness. The body thinks it's protecting us, it's saving us, it's helping us. And ultimately what ends up happening is that it does quite the reverse, because we're operating from an unworkable subconscious belief, a set of thoughts, a paradigm that we just keep on thinking. People can't be trusted. Men can't be trusted. Women can't be trusted. I have to be hyper vigilant, hyper on alert. I have to always make sure I got to be in control, because I can't trust anybody. I got to always be in control. So when I'm not in control, I start to get symptoms of anxiety. It makes me very anxious to not be able to be in control because people can't be trusted. It's a cycle of thought. And this anxiety, oh my goodness, just makes me so crazy. And then when I'm in this anxious state, I can't really truly be in control. So then I get more anxious. And the more anxious that I get, the more I fall into the fear of what's going to happen. The fear that starts to make me feel angry because I'm feeling this fear. It's like, why me? Why does it have to be like this? And now I feel so angry. I'm so angry. And I'm turning it inward because look at me. Look at all I go through. It's not right. It's not fair. These chemicals going around in my brain, and now I'm depressed. So now I'm dealing with both depression and anxiety. All because I started out believing that people can't be trusted. And I may have a lot of evidence and proof as far as I'm concerned, because who knows what kind of trauma I went through as a child. But I still have to heal that belief. I still have to transform that belief in order to have a different experience. So that's the work that I do. It takes 63 days. 63 days to reconnect the synapses, heal the thoughts, start practicing new thoughts. And I can help you eradicate the symptoms of feeling unworthy and transform every area of your life, particularly your love life. That is the apex. But your career life, your family life, all of it can be turned around. I am a testimony. Trust me on that. Believe me on that. My life is now unrecognizable from what it was just 5 short years ago, 6 short years ago, 7 short years ago. Completely unrecognizable. You can transform all of it. All right. So get at me at on Instagram at Ask for Candy Podcast and at Candy Love Coach. At Candy Love Coach is the account I'm a little more active on. I'm also on TikTok at Candy Love Coach. If you like little sound bites, you get little 1-minute videos on my TikTok. And that's it. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Spotify, everywhere else you listen. Make sure you hit the subscribes, the notifications, the likes, so you know whenever we put out a new show. And that is it, my sweet loves. Until next time, never forget that you are a love machine. If you ever start to feel like you aren't getting the love you need, just make more and then ask for candy. I love you so much. Bye now. Mwah, mwah, mwah.